All right, welcome back to the channel. So Jamaal Charlo said he was moving to 168, and David Benavides is the champion up there. Mikey Garcia, the 4 division champion, picks a winner in that fight and says that he takes David Benavides over Jamaal Charlo. Let's talk about that fight in this video and Mikey Garcia's analysis with it and whether we agree with it or don't agree with it in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So we're talking about this 160 and 168 pound division. Jamaal Charlo is the WBC 160 pound champion, and David Benavides is the WBC 168 pound champion. Now, in a conversation that Jamaal Charlo was having with Anthony Durrell, he mentioned that he was considering moving up to 168 pounds and was asking Andre Durrell, who's clearly a friend of his, whether he has permission to move up there and walk through all those dudes at 168 pounds. Anthony Durrell says, yeah, man, F them dudes. I won't use the name that he called him, but it starts with an N and it ends with an A. Depending on your pronunciation, it could start with an N and end with an start with an N and end with an R. But if you do it that way, then we know we got to slap you up. Anyway, Anthony Durrell says, yeah, man, go on ahead and do it. And then the controversy comes because there are 2 guys up there at 168 pounds that are with the WBC. And the main guy, I think the best guy at 168 pounds by a hair, not just way out there better than everybody else, but my opinion is David Benavides is the best champion at 168 pounds. I would lean towards him in fights against, I think he stops Callum Smith. Just get out of here with Callum Smith, who is the WBA champion. Billy Joe Saunders, I think he walks down Billy Joe Saunders and beats Billy Joe Saunders in a good fight though. A close fight, could go either way, but I lean to David Benavides because of his size, his tenacity, and his hand speed. And then the other champion is Caleb Plant, and man, Caleb Plant versus David Benavides is a whole nother video, but suffice it to say that at a time I thought that David Benavides had a big gap over Caleb Plant, but Caleb Plant has been steadily improving and he looks better. But David Benavides is the one, as far as it relates to Jamaal Charlo, that it seemed most of the media that talk about this subject and fans that talk about this subject are interested in. So in an interview, Mikey Garcia was asked who he thought wins that fight and what he thought of Jamaal Charlo's, moving up in weight from 168 pounds, which by the way, for Jamaal Charlo would be his 3rd weight class because he won championships at 154 pounds. He's won a championship at 160 pounds. So 168 pounds would be his 3rd division. And it would be, his 3rd division. So Mikey Garcia asked about it and he said, it's a good, there's no problem with Jamaal Charlo moving up there because Jamaal Charlo has the skills to fight at 168 pounds. And, it'd be a good look for him, try for his legacy and all that. And obviously Mikey Garcia was good, who's always a very, polite. He's not excessively demonstrative. He's not gonna, he's not out there insulting people, or he's not, he's like the anti-Adrian Bronner, very monotoned, even-tempered kind of guy. So, he complimented Jamaal Charlo, complimented David Benavides, but at the end of it, when he's pressed to ask who he thinks would win, he says that he thinks it would be David Benavides, but yet Jamaal Charlo has an opportunity to win the fight because of his skills. But obviously the thing with David Benavides, the problem with David Benavides was going to be, the size. Now for me, looking at David Benavides is, he's a big 168. Like if you look at the pictures of him as a kid, or you look at him as the pictures of when he was sparring in his teenage years, man, I think that dude was well over, at a point, he was well over 200 pounds, man. Well over 200 pounds. And you can kind of tell from the way that the guy is built in the ring, like the way what his body looks like, that he's a guy that has lost a lot of weight and still kind of has that kind of loose skin that you get when you lose a whole lot of weight. Too fast. But, as far as his fighting ability, man, very fast hands. He's got very good punch. He's very powerful. He's not particularly easy to hit. So he's got some decent defense. But from what I've seen of him, and I've seen, most of his major fights, he's just a come forward. He's a come forward, walk you down type of fighter that is going to slip punches and land bombs in between your punches with his very, very, very fast hands. I mean, he's got unusually fast hands. He doesn't necessarily have tremendously fast feet, which is what I usually think of as a fighter that is really fast. It's like usually when they, like a Sugar Ray Leonard, when you have he has tremendously fast hands, he also has tremendously fast feet. That's not the case with David Benavidez. David Benavidez is somebody that is pretty much plodding forward, slipping shots here and there, deflecting punches. Very good with the, deflecting punches with his guards, and maybe bumping it with his shoulder, catching it, catching the shots as they're coming in with, what do you call him, parrying a shot here and there. He's got a lot of stuff, a lot of arm movement and things that allow him to play, good, to protect himself when he's walking down. Not a tremendous amount of head movement, but then he overpowers and winds up running through guys. Now, for a Jermall Charlo fight, though, I think I'm going to take Jermall Charlo in that, because number one, I think Jermall Charlo, even though he's not as big as David Benavidez, he's still very big. And I think that he is a significantly more well-rounded fighter than David Benavidez is. The main weapon for Jermall Charlo in this thing with David Benavidez, I believe, is going to be his jab. His jab to the body, his jab, not just his up jab, his jab to the head and his jab to the body, and straight shots to the body. I think that the fundamentals of Jermall Charlo and the fact that he wastes very, very little movement and he has a tremendous amount of pop is what will pull the fight out with David Benavidez. But at the same time, I can understand why Mikey Garcia sees it that way. But when you listen to what Mikey Garcia says, what he's pretty much he's just pointing to the size and the fact that there's, it's tough to overcome that size. But with Jermall Charlo, I think that Jermall Charlo was, it's kind of like Terence Crawford, like a lot of times people think of, and I did, this is me, not a lot of times. Let me tell you what I thought. When Terence Crawford first moved up to 147 pounds, I was like, man, I don't know whether or not he's going to be able to handle the size at 147 pounds, what the deal is going to be with him in that regard, because he moved up from 135 pounds. But then as I looked at it closely and I actually saw what the weights were, that the weight that Terence Crawford was weighing in for fights at 140 pounds, at 135 pounds, it wakes you up and says, oh, hold on, man, no. This guy probably has always been a welterweight. He's just very disciplined about his weight and what he eats and keeps his body weight. He's just able to drop a significant amount of weight before the fight. And he always keeps himself around his ideal body weight. So with Terence Crawford, you would see Terence Crawford weighing in for fights. Say, for example, the fight with Victor Postol. I think when he fought Victor Postol at 140, he walked into the ring at somewhere around it was either 154 or 157, but it was deep in the 150s when he fought Postol. And so when you look at him moving to 147 pounds, man, he's probably at 140 walking into the ring the same weight as many of the welterweights are. Now, not like a big welterweight like Errol Spence, who might weigh, if it wasn't for the rehydration clause, might come in to the ring somewhere around, 162, something like that. But still, 162 and 157, it's a 5-pound weight division. Difference, but it's not as big as I originally had thought that it was. So I think that's also the same thing for Jamaal Charlo, because Jamaal Charlo was anorexic. I have no clue how he made 154 pounds. Like, I have no clue how he made 100. As big as he is, I have no idea how he could weigh 154 pounds. He looked emaciated at 154 pounds. He looks drawn and emaciated at weigh-ins at 160 pounds. So I think that similar to the way that Terence Crawford feels about moving from 135 to 140 and then from 140 to 147, he said that he felt like he got stronger fighting in both of those weight classes as he moved up in weight. Now, I'm sure, that there's a tipping point for it. Terence Crawford ain't moving up to 168, but Jamaal Charlo, it very well could be the same thing, dude, that he felt as if he gets stronger as the weight classes go up. He's also fought much tougher competition and he's fought better competition than David Benavides has. David Benavides is really yet to step up in his competition. The best fight for David Benavidez was Anthony Durrell when he won the WBC championship before, but when he regained it and he won, it was a good fight. But I think that Anthony Durrell gave him a little more work than I thought that he was going to give Anthony Durrell, and I don't believe Anthony Durrell is the level of fighter that Jamaal Charlo is. So we're going to wind up seeing what happens for sure, because I do believe that Jamaal Charlo is going to move up there. And when Jamaal Charlo goes to 168, because he's going to chase Canelo, right? That the PBC fighters are the ones that are going to be the easiest fights for him to make. And that's David Benavidez and Caleb Plant. So, hey, man, we might as well set our minds and hope for that fight, because it'll be a terrific fight, man. And I can't wait to see it. Hopefully there'll be crowds and all that good stuff. But anyway, you let me know your thoughts on the matter, whether I'm off or not, whether you agree with Mikey Garcia or not in the comment sections. And with that, I'm out. Peace.